this introductory series, we have a total of 6 lessons, and this is our lesson 5. Again, I am Janet, and I'm one of the Cantonese speaking librarian here at the Asian Branch Library. I also have my colleague here, Wendy, and she is going to be helping us out with the program and monitoring the chat for any questions. And Sue is back today. And then let's welcome our teacher, Sue Marguerite, back.
Hello, 大家好.
Hi, Sue. So let me just quickly introduce her one more time if this is really your first time joining us. Sue is our teacher, and she lived in Hong Kong for about 30 years, and now she travels between Hong Kong and also the United States. And she runs a YouTube channel, which is called the Cantonese Corner, and you will find a lot of free resources of learning Cantonese through her channel. She also runs a website that is called CantoLingo, and she is going to start a character class on September 12th on her CantoLingo website. So please get in touch with her to find out more. All right, Sue, I'm going to hand it over to you so you can do some reviews with our students today.
Okay, thank you, Janet. Hello, 大家好. And we're going to jump right into reviewing lesson 4. Now, 4, 5, and 6, we're all talking about yamcha. So last time, if you remember, or if you weren't with us last time and couldn't see the recording, we talked about I want, I like, and to drink. Those are 3 verbs that we did. We did our measure words, go and wai, and we did yamcha etiquette and also ordering tea. And this time, I think today we're going to be actually ordering some of the dim sum and talking about the different names of them. So of course, we're going to want to say I want, to order or call, and to give. And those are all going to be very useful when you're actually ordering the dim sum. We're going to introduce more measure words because of course, if you have one plate of something or a basket of something, or like the measure words for cups and forks and things, more yamcha etiquette, especially when it comes to eating. And then we're going to have a go at ordering some dim sum. And sadly, we don't really have dim sum, which would be super nice, but we're going to imagine we're at the tea house ordering. So let's get in and review. And that's a beautiful picture, by the way. Is that the Tsingma Bridge? Yeah. Anyway,
that's the bridge that you cross before you leave Hong Kong.
Yeah. And
on the way to the airport.
On the way to the airport. Yeah, Hong Kong always surprises me because you see the postcards of the big city and then you see one like this and you're like, wow, there's just, it's so green and it's wonderful. Anyway, let's jump into the review. And of course, Cantonese being a tonal language, it's always important to remember your tones or you'll be saying the wrong thing. So we have 3 flat, tone 1, 3, and 6. And those are just flat across, high, mid, and low. And then we have the 2 rising. I call it the mid rising, the 2nd tone, and the low rising, the 5th tone. And then of course the falling down tone, which is just really low, is your 4th tone. So those are things that we're going to remember because when we're writing the phonetics, we use the numbers in our Guangdonghua class here, CantoTalk. We've got numbers and the Yale system mixed together. Okay, so moving on to the next slide. Now remember when you want to say, I want to do something, it's your mid-rising, sung. So sung, and then down low, sung, right? Sung. The answer would be, if you don't want to, the negative, remember, is your sung, and your want to is sung. So let me hear you guys say sung. How about that one? Do you want to?
Sáng làm sáng.
Yeah, real good. Song, do you want to? So the next, we're going to kind of go a little bit quicker because we've got so much dim sum to go over. The next one, the important or the interesting thing maybe about this next one is it is a compound verb. There's 2 parts to it. It's 中意, right? 中意 means there's you have to have both to mean to like. So 中意. So that means when you're asking the question, do you like? You put the in between the first one. So it's 中意 and not 종이, 종이. Okay, so I know that kind of trips people up the first time they're learning, but just remember to, if you have a compound verb, just put the in the middle. So we've got 中意. Can we hear you say that? 中意.
中唔中意
Yes, perfect. So of course your answers are going to be 中意 or 中意, meaning don't like and like. So the third one we did, let's see, is this is not a verb. This is your question word, meaning what. And the interesting thing, if you remember from this, is like when I was learning, you learn乜嘢, right?乜嘢, which means what. And we learn that in class and we go very slow and we say the乜嘢. And then you go out on the street and you hear native speakers talking and they're just saying ma, ma, and it sounds completely different from乜嘢. So that's something to be aware of, that when you kind of understand that they're saying what, but it doesn't sound like乜嘢. That's your ma, right? So let's have a go at just saying the乜嘢.
乜嘢
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mẹ.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And then the mea.
Mẹ.
咩啊咩啊
Yeah. Yeah, so you'll hear that. So that was last week, and that's important to learn to remember for this week. So we had the two measure words last week. That was a measure word really that you use when you go to the tea house and they're asking you how many people are in your party. Basically, how many are there of you? And in Cantonese, there's really two ways you'll hear this being said. Now, the first one is using the measure word for basically a seat, which is your mid-rising white, right? White. And that one, if they're asking you how many, it's 幾多位 or 幾多位啊. So let's hear you say that. 幾多, it's our first one up there in the middle. 幾多位啊? 幾多位啊?
幾多位啊
幾多位啊?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to hear that a lot just walking into the tea house if they're going to say 幾多位啊? And then your answer is going to be your number. Now remember, when you're using two in Cantonese, it's the only number that has a special way to say a quantity of two. And that's going to be your low rising 兩. So 兩位 is two people.
兩位
兩位.
位
Yeah. 兩位. It's kind of going right up the scale. You're starting low, 兩 and 位, and just continuing up. So 兩位. And another, yeah, sorry, good. 兩位. So another very common way to hear this being asked is your 幾多個, the go. I know it looks like go, but you pronounce it more of a go. And that one is your measure word for people. Go. Can we hear you guys say that first? Just the go.
Go.
個
個
個
Yeah, go. It's that third mid tone, just the go. And that one, again, it looks like go. So if you were saying 幾多個啊, 幾多個啊, can we hear that?
幾多個啊
Go on.
多個啊?
Yeah, 幾多個啊? And then in that way, you'd still be saying your number and you're using that measure word for people. So 3 people would be 三, the first tone, 三個.
三個
三個.
三個
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 Yeah, perfect. 三個. So that was the review of that, and we're going to get to more measure words this time. So now let's learn our 3 verbs for this time that are going to really help us when we're ordering dim sum. And the first is going to be yiu. Yiu is to want. So let's hear that one. Yiu.
you
Now the next one rhymes with it, and it means to order or to call. And that one is you. It rhymes with you. It's giu with a G. Giu.
you
Q.
Giu.
you
And remember our
you
giu. Remember our third tone is flat, so it's just a giu. It doesn't go like up or
Giu.
down. It just goes giu.
You.
Yeah, yep, good. So that one means to order if you want to order something. And it also means to call. So for example, have you heard people ask you like, what is your name? That's a very common way. Lấy kêu mấy gia mang. I know I'm getting a little bit off topic here, but you might hear it. And that's a way to call, like what name you're called yourself, okay? But today we're going to be using it to mean order, like ordering our dim sum. And the next one, the third one we have is our mid-rising second tone, bảy. Can we hear that one? Bảy.
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 Bay.
Yeah, bảy. And that
Bảy.
one means to give. Right? So anytime you're talking about giving something, you're really saying bảy. You'll be saying bảy. Yeah, good. So now let's get into some measure words. These are really important because, as we mentioned last time, you can always default to the go, right? The go is kind of a catch-all. It's not correct, but people will understand that you're using it if you don't really know the measure word because there's so many of them and they're very specific. So this one for plates is going to be the low tone deep, deep. And it just sounds like almost D-E-E-P, like the water is very deep, but it's deep. Can we hear that one? Deep.
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 Deep. Right, good.
Yeah.
So if we want to say like, I want, on the bottom, we've got a little sentence there. I want 1 plate of rice rolls. Now I know we probably haven't talked about rice rolls, but it is at the end of the sentence there, we're going to be saying want 1 plate and then rice rolls. So the want again, remember, is our you, and then yet is 1, deep is down low for the plate, and then 腸粉 is our rice rolls. So 要一碟 腸粉. Did I say that right, Janet? You want to help me?
Yes, it's 要一碟腸粉.
You.
Yat.
Deep.
Deep.
腸粉.
You. Yat.
要一碟腸粉.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yat.
That's perfect. Oh, fun. I saw one of the comments flash up that it's really good. It's so good. And there's different types as well. You can see this one in the picture looks like they've got shrimp inside, the shrimp inside, and we'll get to that. Yeah, but the 腸粉 is really good. So yeah, that's the deep is our plate. Now, if you're talking about a basket, because a lot of the dim sum comes in baskets, of course, that is going to be our low falling, lowest of the low, long.
Long.
Long. Long. And if our
Long.
sentence here, if you wanted to say, order a plate
Long.
of hagao and siu mai, so we're going to be saying giu, again, giu, giu,
You.
sorry, I'm reading the phonetics going, what is that? Giu learn is our 2. So learn, long, ha, gao, siu mai. Is that right, Janet? You want to say that for us one time?
要兩籠蝦餃燒賣.
Siu mai.
Let's hear you guys say it. You want to say that sentence?
I'll do it one more
蝦
time.
餃燒賣.
叫兩籠蝦餃燒賣.
叫
叫
兩
兩
籠
籠蝦
蝦
餃燒賣.
餃燒賣.
Siu mai.
Mai.
Yeah, you guys doing really well. That's really good. Yeah, so that's our hagao. And the hagao, you can see in the picture there, is the one in the back. And our siu mai is the one in the front. And we'll do more of those names later. But our next measure word, I believe we have a bunch of them, right? Oh, okay, so this is chopsticks first. Now there's 2 different measure words for chopsticks. And I mean, there's 2 chopsticks, right? So you have a pair of them. So you're either going to be saying, I'm going to use yat for yat, yatto. Yatto is 1 pair, or yesung is also 1 pair. For me, I usually use the yatto, and yatto, but it doesn't really matter, right? Some people say yatto, some yesung.
I think some
to mean a
people
pair.
say 一對 and then some people say 一雙, but just to remember, 一雙, the sounding of this sound exactly like a box as well. So many of us actually will use 一對 instead.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I wasn't even sure. I mean, I used yato, and I don't think I've ever heard anybody say yes, so I didn't even really know that it was also could be used for chopsticks. Yeah, but it also means box. So, bei. Now here we're going to be using our bei, which means to give. So give me one pair of chopsticks would simply be saying bei yat. Do is your midtone. Yat do fai zi are chopsticks. So let's say you say bei yat do fai zi.
俾一對
對
筷子。
Yep. And one thing I wanted to point out is we've got me in the English, right? Give me. If you said give one pair of chopsticks, it would be really odd not to include the me, like give me one pair of chopsticks. But beyato faiji, you could just say that without saying me, because again, in Cantonese, if it can be understood, they usually won't include it in the sentence. Like it's like, well, of course, if you're the one talking and you're saying, give one pair of chopsticks, it means to you. And also to give me one pair of chopsticks could be seen as quite rude or demanding in English maybe. And in Cantonese, it's okay. You can always, of course, add that ngai. So 俾一對筷子我唔該, or 俾一對筷子唔該, like that. So that is our chopsticks. And then another measure word for the teapot, okay, which is going to be your low falling wu. 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 So if we go to our sentence, give me one pot of jasmine. Now, if you remember last week, we talked about the different tea and they have different names. So this one, actually, I've included the ngo at the end of the sentence. You'll see at the end of the sentence, that's going to be your me. So give one pot of jasmine to me. 俾一壺香片我. Let's hear it.
俾一
俾一
壺
壺香片我。
片我。
Yeah, perfect. So give me one pot of jasmine. And again, the word order here is really important in Cantonese because in English, you can say, give me one pot of jasmine, but you can't say, 俾我一壺香片. You can't move the ngo behind the give me, like 俾我. If you're just saying 俾我, you can, like give me, right? But if you're talking about what you're giving, in Cantonese, it will come first and the ngo will come at the end. So it's always going to be give one pot of jasmine to me in translation. So that's just a little bit of a word order thing there to watch out for. Because a lot of times in English, when you're first learning Cantonese, you'll be saying 俾我一壺香片, and it sounds, of course, people understand, but it's going to sound funny because the word order is a little bit off. So then, now we get to the zak, right? Zak. And you can tell that K sound is a little bit swallowed. So it's not like jack with a hard K sound as we would in English. It's kind of like zak. 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 And I'm looking at the different things there. We've got our deep.
Deep.
If you yeah, thank you, Janet. Sorry, I'm distracted looking at the comments. Yeah, yetzak deep. Yetzak cha, which would that one be? Yetzak cha. Cha is going to be your fork, and hopefully you can learn to use chopsticks, and you won't need to use a fork. Yetzak boy. Yetzak boy is going to be your cup. Yetzak qigang. Qigang is going to be your spoon. And yetzak won. Yeah, sorry, I'm not giving you a chance to say this. So let's start with the bowl.
Dịp
The yet zet. Let's use yet. Yet zet won.
一隻
一
碗，
隻碗，
Yet zet deep.
一隻碟，
一隻
一隻
碟，
Yet zet cha.
一
一
隻
隻
叉，
叉，
隻叉，
Yet zet杯.
一隻
一隻
杯，
杯，
Yet zet 匙羹.
一隻
一隻
一
匙
隻匙
羹，
羹，
Yeah, very good. So yetzak is another one that's very, very common because it goes with a lot of different things. You'll hear that a lot with animals as well, is your yetzak. But anyway, so yeah, those are all the measure words that we have. So let's do some practice. I'm not sure I understand. And my phone is telling me it doesn't understand, so I'm going to turn that off. Okay, so if you're at the table, usually when you go to yamsa, you're with a big group of people and you are talking and then you're not ordering and maybe you're just drinking the tea. And so you're like, let's order some dim sum to eat, right? It's going to be your giu. Giu is going to be your order. Giu di. Now your di is going to be some. Giu di dim sum sek la. Can we hear that?
叫
Or Janet, do you want to say that one once?
Okay. So 叫啲點心食啦。
叫
叫
啲
啲點心食
食
啦，
啦，
啲點心食
啦，
Yeah, it almost sound like a song, right? 叫啲點心食啦 is because the 食啦is from that tone 1 and all the way to tone 6. So 叫啲點心食啦。
叫啲點心食啦，
叫啲點心食啦，
Yeah, that la can usually be really expressive, right? Because it's like you did dim sum sik la, right? So that's kind of let's order some dim sum, okay? And then if you wanted to say what you like to eat, right? You're going to be using your zongyi or your seung. So for example, up there, that big long thing, you'll be using your noun or pronoun like ngo, ko, nai, right? Or just the name. And then zongyi or seung, sek, and then your noun. So ngo, zongyi, sek. Let's see, like ngo, zongyi, sek, just that much. Ngo, zongyi, sek. Let's hear that.
我中意
我
食
中意食，
我中意食，
Okay, how about 我想食?
我
我
想食
想食，
我想食，
Yes, yeah. And then you're just going to be saying what it is that you like or you want to eat. And there's so many good things. So let's see, we've got what do you like or want to eat? And we've got our dim sum in there too. So the first one is going to be just a long way of saying you like to eat what dim sum. So you'll notice that our what is in a different order. You're not going to be putting the mat ye in the front. You put the you like eat what dim sum. So 你中意食乜嘢點心啊？
你中意食
中意食
乜嘢
嘢
點心啊？
Right. And if you didn't want to put your 中意 and you're speaking quickly, that short form way of the 乜嘢, so you'll notice the second sentence here, I'm using the 想, and then we're also changing the 乜嘢 in blue for the 咩啊, which is going to sound like, Janet, do you want to read this one?
你想食咩點心啊？你想食咩點心啊？
How about you guys have a go? 你想食咩
你想食咩
你
點心
想
啊？
食咩點心啊？
It's very good.
Yeah, and that's the way that 9 times out of 10, you are going to hear it said like that. You won't hear like 乜嘢. It's almost always in conversation as 你想食咩啊？咩點心？咩點心啊？ So let's have a go. Here again are our hagao and our siu mai. So we've got I like to eat and I want to eat. So the first one is 我中意食 and then 蝦餃. Let's hear that one. 我中意食蝦餃.
我中意食
我
蝦餃。
中意食
我
蝦
中意食
餃。
蝦餃。
蝦餃
So if I were to ask you guys the question, how would you answer? If I said 你哋中唔中意食蝦餃? How are you going to answer? 你哋中唔中意食蝦餃?
我
中意，
中意食
我中意食
蝦餃。
蝦餃。
Yeah, good. And if I said 你想 want 你想食燒賣，你想唔想食燒賣? How would you answer?
我想食蝦餃。
你中意蝦餃 more than you like the 燒賣, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, me too. I actually don't really like the siu mai. I know it's so popular, and usually every tea house, of course, is going to have hagao and siu mai. They're two of the most popular, along with the cha siu bao, I think. But I have to say, I agree with you. I like the hagao much better. So, okay.
Yeah, we have a team hagao here.
Team hagao, yeah. Yeah, definitely. When you get them and they're really good, they're so good. So okay, we're gonna be changing now our what was the one before? I don't think we did that one. I'm team Cha Siu Bao. Yeah, I like the okay. Okay, so here's our Cha Siu Bao. Another one, another standard one. We have Cha Siu Bao. The fun one about this when you're first learning Cantonese is you don't have to worry about the tones when you're talking about Cha Siu Bao because it's all high. So you know that you don't have to worry about, am I getting it right in the middle? Am I low? It's just Cha Siu Bao. So it's really easy. Can we hear you guys say Cha Siu Bao?
叉燒包。
包。
叉燒包。
And of course, it's in English as well, where they just say, well, barbecue pork bun or the cha siu bao in English too. So now we're using our ko, low rising ko, and that means, who remembers what ko means? Do you guys remember the English for ko?
They,
No.
Say it again.
they, or he or
It
she.
would be, yes, he or she. It would be they if we had what? What would they be? You guys remember they?
佢哋。
佢哋。
Yep, you've got that they at the end there. So, but just call your he. 中意, so he likes to eat. 佢中意食叉燒包. Let's hear that one.
佢
佢中意食叉燒包。
中意食叉燒包。
Yes, and the next one, 佢想食. Now, one at the bottom there, what is that? I never order this, so I have to look. 豉汁排骨. Oh, that's very musical as well. 豉汁排骨.
I think I have a
Right?
豉汁. Is it? Do I have a
豉汁排骨。
豉汁排骨 or 豉汁蒸排骨? So it's going to be the steaming in the middle.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So let's try the 佢想食豉汁排骨.
佢想食豉汁排骨。
Or else the 豉汁
or
蒸
yeah.
排骨.
Or 豉汁蒸排骨. Or a lot of times in the tea house, it will only be 排骨, and then they will also get it as well.
Oh, right. Just the 排骨. That looks very good. But I'm team Cha Siu Bao as well when it comes to the two of these.
I hope this doesn't embarrass Janet, but when she pushes around library carts at the library, she starts saying the ha gao.
So yeah, so it's a running joke in here where when I push a book truck, I would say 蝦餃、燒賣、小籠包, just to get people's attention. Anyway,
And it works, I bet, too, right?
yeah,
They're
people pay
probably like,
attention to
where,
me.
where,
Where,
Every
say
time.
yourself.
Oh, that's so cute. So a few other words we wanted to throw in here were the chili sauce, soy sauce, and vinegar. And it's interesting because when Janet and I were first talking about it, it was like, well, that's kind of standard. Well, first of all, the soy sauce, nobody has it with dim sum in Hong Kong, very rarely. I mean, they'll put it on top of the chao fan and stuff like that, but you wouldn't really have a dish of soy sauce there. But the chili sauce, yes, and sometimes it looks like that in the picture, and sometimes it will really be like the lazio zhang, the you can see the chili parts in it. And then the vinegar, I always get vinegar with my I like to have the zanju gai and the lo mai gai, and then put vinegar on that. So anyway, we thought it would be a good practice for you guys to learn how to say those words. And so for the chili sauce, we have la jiu zhang, right? La jiu zhang. And yeah, so it's the sixth, the low tone, the high tone, the mid tone, la jiu zhang. And then we have the soy sauce, which a lot of you probably know because it's used a lot, is the xiyao. And then we've got the vinegar, which is chou. Am I saying that right? Chou. I always
Chou.
mess up the third tone. Chou. Yeah, chou.
And also the reason
Mhm.
why we included it is because here in the States, when you go dim sum, these are never given. You will actually have to ask for it. But then again, soy sauce is almost never used in dim sum, but I know that a lot of people do like to add a little bit of soy sauce in their dumplings and whatnot. But for la jiu zhang and for chou, so for the chili sauce and also vinegar, you almost always have to ask.
Right. So if you do need to ask, you would be saying your guy, which in this way is used as a please or like excuse me, kind of guy, guy, bei. Now here we're going to be using our deep because we're having a plate of everything. So yet deep la jiu zhang. Can we say that one? Bei yet deep la jiu zhang.
俾一碟辣椒醬，
一碟豉油。
一碟
一碟
豉油，
一碟豉油。
油，
And 一碟醋。
一
碟
碟
醋。
醋，
And they usually have like the red vinegar. Oh, it's so good. Like the one in the picture is the vinegar with the xiaolongbao. But a lot of times you'll get the red colored vinegar, and well, it's vinegar, so it's just red. So then, this is kind of continuing on if you wanted to say okay or then, which is going to be your gum, right? That mid-rising gum. And it's just like an interjection kind of thing, like a okay, and then, and all they, which is we, or let's order, all they give 一籠蝦餃兩籠燒賣三碟春卷. Your 春卷 is your spring roll. And I think the other ones we had, the siu mai and the hagao. Yeah. So let's have a go at reading that really slowly. It's gum.
咁我哋叫一籠蝦餃，
一籠蝦餃，
兩籠燒賣
兩籠燒賣，
三碟春卷.
三碟
碟
春卷。
And something else that I've said before, and you guys will remember, in Cantonese, a lot of times you don't need to use and, because it would be kind of strange in English if you kind of said, please give me ha gao siu mai, and what's the other one? Chun gun. Ha gao siu mai spring roll. It seems kind of a little bit odd just to rattle them off without saying an and in there. But in Cantonese, a lot of times you don't need to use the and. Just say what you want and no need the and. So then next slide. Now we're going to be using some of our other measure words. Okay, so our wu and our zak. So we've got ngai, bei yat wu. Oh, this one we didn't talk about the
We talked about it
滾水,
last time,
right?
滾水.
If you want, oh, we did. Oh, that's right. 滾水. Okay, so that's our boiled water, our 滾水. So 唔該俾一壺滾水. Let's try that much. Give me 1 pot of boiled water. 唔該俾一壺滾水.
唔該俾一壺滾水。
滾水。
Good. 兩隻叉.
兩隻
兩隻叉。
兩隻叉。
三隻杯.
三隻
三隻杯。
Yeah, good. 三隻杯. And that's just using those different measure words. So once you get used to that, then yeah, the measure words, once you get used to them with what they're used with, it'll sound really strange to then use like go. So practice makes perfect. So the more you practice them at the tea house, the better that you will get. And then our next one is just 好啊.
好啊。
好啊。
Okay. 好啊. That's just to finish up our little dialogue. 好啊. And 咁下一個 slide. We're going to talk a little bit about飲茶 etiquette. We talked about the tea etiquette last time, and now here are a few pointers that when you're going to飲茶. The first is usually always serve your elders first as a sign of respect, right? You're going to make sure that they've got something to eat first. And that's pretty standard, understandable. The second is usually in tea houses, especially ones where might be a little bit nicer, they'll have a gong fai. Those are the 2 characters there. I'm sorry, I forgot to put the pronunciation, but the gong fai means it's kind of like you're serving chopsticks. It's on the table. It's usually a different color. And if you have those, I was going to bring my chopsticks. I forgot. If you have those communal chopsticks, typically you'll use those when you're taking food. And then you'll only use your own chopsticks when you're eating from your own bowl. And so that sometimes is something that you'll see. Typically, if your chopsticks are all white in color, the ones that you eat with, your personal ones that you're eating with, the communal or the serving chopsticks are going to be like black. It's a very different, usually a different color. But it is so common to use that communal chopsticks, the gong fai, to serve yourself. And then I've done this so many times, I can't even tell you. I'll just completely forget because you're talking. I'll use it to serve myself and then I will use them. I will eat with the communal chopsticks. And then it is quite embarrassing. You're like, I did this again. And then they just have to get a different pair of chopsticks for that. Because typically, as you guys probably know, you just eat with your own chopsticks. So you're taking food from the plates with your own chopsticks that you use. So if there are a serving pair, don't be embarrassed or whatever if that happens, because it happens a lot to everybody. And the second part there is flipping your chopsticks around. And to take a dim sum that's probably like drier. You're not going to really do this with noodles or like a wet kind of dish that's all mixed together and around. But what happens is, I'm just going to use my pens here. But if you're eating with this side, then you just typically flip them around if you want to move food over without using the end of your chopsticks that you're eating with. Oh, Janet, do you have chopsticks there? Yes.
Yep, I have chopstick right here. So then you will use one side for the eating. Usually it's a little bit more pointy. I think the chopstick I have is not quite Chinese chopstick, but it's Japanese chopstick. But it's the same kind of a logic. And then let's say if you don't have any serving chopstick and then you have a char siu bao right in front of you, then you can just flip it and then just use this kind of cleaner side to pick up a bao for your family or your friend.
Yeah, and it's usually always if you're very close and people don't mind, then of course I just, you can just use, you don't have to flip them around. But one way that you'll always see people flip them is if they're taking things away. Like if you're going to lao zao, you're going to take away some of the dim sum. But in my experience, always flip the chopsticks to put it like in the bag, because you don't know who's going to be eating it later. And so you're probably, excuse me, hold on. Sorry, I forgot to bring my water up here tonight. So yeah, that's something that you're going to see a lot. If you are in the tea house, you'll see people flip their chopsticks or else use communal ones. The third tip for etiquette is don't stick your chopsticks upright in your food. Do you know why you don't want to be doing this? Does anybody know why that you don't want to stick your chopsticks in the bowl? Even if they're not sticking upright, a lot of times just even to the side, it's not considered polite. Do you guys know why?
So you don't want
Janet
to do
showing me
something that
there.
is like this. So this is my bowl. And then let's say if I have food inside and you don't want to just stick it upright like this. Can you guys
And
guess
leave it.
why? Yeah, and leave it. It's considered very, very impolite. And it's also I think it's when you go to the temple, and this almost look like incense in temple. So you don't do this to chopstick or your food.
Exactly. In the chat, you guys are chiming in with that as well. With and also too that it's just upright, but a lot of times even resting it, you always rest it on top of your bowl and never like sticking in your bowl, like with noodles or something, even to rest it, because okay, I've been told this. I'm not sure if you guys have heard this as well, but by my Chinese family in Hong Kong, that it's just an invitation for the spirits to eat. And so you don't want to have it be even there. Just rest it on your, typically chopsticks come with a rest, and you can rest your chopsticks on the rest itself or on top of the bowl, but not in the bowl. So that's a very, very important one, because it'll just immediately, everybody is going to be noticing that if it happens. So yes. And then the fourth one is this is something that I guess is just good manners, right? Even in like Western culture, don't pick and choose. Like if you've got a plate of dim sum or a long or a basket or whatever, take the one nearest to you. It's not really polite to reach over and grabs the other side of the plate. And sometimes this happens when you have a big group of people and you order maybe a lot of different dim sum, or they put it together. Yeah, take the one closest to you. And I know there's a Chinese saying there that Janet was teaching me about last when we chatted, and it is
非常過河, don't do it.
非常過河, which means the flying elephant across the river, right?
Yes, don't do it. You will get a
Don't do it.
no-no
Yeah,
from
don't.
mama.
That is true. It's considered very rude. And it's true of like children, right? Like the small kids, because they don't know. They just want the one that they want, right? And so a lot of times it's good to teach them that no, you choose the one that's closest to you. Don't go taking your chopsticks and poking all of them or or taking the one furthest from you. And the next one is the fifth one that we have is bowl versus plate. This was an interesting discussion because in Hong Kong, you always get a plate, a bowl, the qigong, the spoon, and the teacup, and chopsticks. So yeah, you can see there, that's pretty much what you're going to get in Hong Kong. So you have a plate and you have a bowl. But in the US, I'm told that that's not always the case. You don't get a bowl, you just get the plate, right?
So that was my culture
And
shock
so-
when I came. So the dim sum place will only have the plate. And then normally a bowl is something that you have to ask unless you, let's say, order noodles or rice, and they'll give you a bowl. But I think the dim sum restaurants, almost all the ones that I have been to in the Bay Area, it seems to be more a plate oriented rather than a bowl thing. Versus in Hong Kong, I think Sue was surprised that we are actually eating dim sum out of our plates. When in Hong Kong, most of the people, they are actually eating dim sum out of the bowl. And when Wendy and I, we talked, and then we were saying that the plate in Hong Kong, this is really for, like your little bits of stuff that you're not eating, or for bones, or for the little wrapping paper that you have underneath the char siu bao. So the plate is more for, putting like your little waste in it rather than to eat from.
Yeah, that's 100% true, because in Hong Kong too, as you guys know, another thing is they hold the bowl close to their mouth and eat and eat. You can hold the bowl, but the plate, you would never lift a plate to your face. So that was so strange because I'm like, really? Well, then how do people eat? Really? Because it's so common just to eat close to your face with the bowl. So that was something that if you go to Hong Kong and you're in Hong Kong, you'll eat out of the bowl. I use the plate as well because I don't like to eat the dim sum with the bones and stuff. So my plate, sometimes I'll put the lau mai gai, or the dim sum that's wrapped in the lotus leaves, and you have to kind of open the whole thing up. Then sometimes I'll use my plate for that. But otherwise, it's a bowl 100%. Yeah. So that's interesting.
Yeah, in the US, it seems to be the plate, but then it's also, we were talking about the word dim sum itself. It actually means a little bit, and a little bit of heart. So everything, it comes in a little bite, and then it will fit perfectly onto your spoon right here, and then it's kind of one bite at a time. So you will almost eat dim sum one at a time, and you won't have a full plate of dim sum on your plate. That's also why I think many of us, we use the bowl instead.
And well, actually, that brings up something else, Janet, that's really important, is that sometimes when in Western culture, you go to a buffet or something, or there's different dishes on the table, you'll take a little bit of each and fill up your plate. That is like really rude. In Hong Kong, in my experience, is that you don't go and take a little bit of everything and then eat. It's one at a time. So it's like you take one, you eat one, and then you take another one, you eat one. And it would be very unusual to stock up, I guess, and then eat it off. Yeah.
Yeah, and over on this other side, over at the other side, I also included a little tip for you guys. If you are having some trouble with eating soup dumplings, especially, using a bowl is much better. I have actually seen customers in a restaurant that they put the soup dumpling onto a plate, and then they use a fork to just cut it in the middle where all the soup and everything splashes out. So you will actually use a qigong right here, and then you put your soup dumpling on it, and then you can eat it that way. So then none of the soup will come out, and then you will actually appreciate all the little folds and things that they made into the dim sum itself too.
Yeah, the soup is the best part. So yeah, those are some things that you should remember when you go to Yamsam. So let's eat. So Janet has put together some of these wonderful dim sum. I'm going to get really hungry right now. And the first one we went over is our hagao, and that's your shrimp dumpling.
This is hagao.
So you guys want?
If you guys want to try, you can. Hagao.
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 And then this one is the chungun, and then I put down za chungun in it. So it means deep fried spring roll, za chungun.
Ja chungun.
And then we have here is the chanfen. I think Sue had mentioned that the chanfen can comes with many different ingredients. And then this one we have in here is ha chang.
Ha chang.
Oh, there's also, let's say if someone eats the vegetarian one, then it's zai chang. Zai chang, yep.
Zai chang.
It sounds like ha, or it's the same tone probably, but it's zai chang. And then this is my forever favorite, which is the dao miu gao. And then you see, you see a little bit of greens in it. And then usually this one, either it comes in shrimp or it could be in scallop as well. But it's usually a seafood. So it's dao miu gao.
Oh, I love this too. Dao miu is my favorite Chinese vegetable. The dao miu. Oh goodness.
And then back to our pai guat, which we kind of talked about. So we have si zap pai guat in here. Si zap pai guat. Yeah, sounds like a bit of a song singing. And then we also have xiu long bao in here.
Xiu long bao.
And we have siu mai.
Siu mai.
And we have cha siu bao down here.
叉燒包，
And Sue, would you like to talk a little bit about this one?
The zanjugai. So this is I love these. They're so good but I heard though that in the US you don't see these as often. It's the sticky rice and the lotus leaf, and they usually have some black mushroom inside and pork. And maybe here you have the bigger one, the lo mai gai. Is that right? But this
Or I
one,
just checked the upstairs, they call it
so
zanju
good.
or gai. Or zanju gai too, I think it's fine.
Oh, okay. Because yeah, in Hong Kong, zanjugai is this one, and it's really good. If you haven't had it before, it's nice and it's filling. That sticky rice is just so good. Yeah, zanjugai.
And Sue, this is your favorite, so you will have to introduce.
This is I have so many favorites. See, I bet, but this is really. I usually say that for me, you can tell the caliber of the 酒樓, the tea house place, by the ham shui gao. Because sometimes even in Hong Kong, you'll get it and it'll be cold or it'll be like soggy. But this is like a deep fried sticky rice roll, and inside there's usually the black mushroom cut up and pork. Sometimes they have the hamai, which I really don't like. So I don't like that at all. But you can see one is split open, but when they're done right, they are so good. And it's going to be our ham, meaning salty, right? Ham shui gao, ham shui gao.
鹹水角，
鹹水角，
Gao. Yep, ham shui gao. Those
Yep.
are really good.
And we have a little
Okay,
bit more
Janet.
here. And
Back
then,
over to you.
Yep, and then these are probably something, if you are more adventurous, then you can try it. And then this is 豉汁蒸鳳爪, so which is a very famous chicken feet. It's not for everybody, but if you're adventurous enough, it's very good. 豉汁蒸鳳爪.
豉
豉汁
蒸
蒸鳳爪，
I know it sounds like a lot, but then usually when you go and then if you say 鳳爪, and they will also get it as well, just the last two 鳳爪. So 鳳爪, it literally means it is chicken feet, but then figuratively it actually means phoenix claws, the claws of the phoenix. And then in here we have 姜葱牛柏葉. So this is 姜葱, which is the ginger and scallion, and then you have 牛柏葉 in here, which is the beef tripes. So again, for those who are a little bit more adventurous, 姜葱牛柏葉.
薑葱
薑葱牛柏葉，
葱牛百葉，
And then I think this is Wendy's favorite. Wendy, would you like to say it? I think you will hear it right here too. It's called 煎堆. 煎堆. So it's a sesame ball with green red beans inside. 煎堆. And this is also a very traditional Chinese New Year food as well. And then Sue, we also have another of your favorite, I think, down here.
It is totally my favorite. The 椒鹽豆腐. I love tofu. I love all kinds of tofu, except I don't like stinky tofu. That's how tofu is not my favorite. But the 椒鹽, which is salt and pepper tofu. So tofu in Chinese is your tofu, both low tones tofu. So 椒鹽tofu is your salt and pepper tofu. It's deep fried usually, and it's another one where I feel like if it's done right, sometimes the skin can be a bit thick, and I don't really like that. But if it's done where it's really kind of light and airy, and it's really good. The 椒鹽豆腐.
Okay, and next then we have two sweet dishes. So then this one is my favorite forever. This is 馬拉糕. 馬拉糕.
馬拉糕，
馬拉糕，
It's just a sponge cake, and I think they use brown sugar to make it. That's therefore the color. And then we're
Right, 'cause
introducing you to something that's not the dan tart, which you would normally see, which is the egg tart, but this is the Portuguese egg tart, which is po tart.
葡撻，
葡撻，
Tat.
And this is also really good. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, so reminder, we have lesson 6, which is going to be our last lesson in this series, which is going to be next Wednesday at 6:30 to 7:30. And if you guys still have friends who would like to sign up, we still have spots that they can sign up. So please feel free to join us. And then maybe I'll give you guys a few minutes to ask Sue some questions if you have any. Or maybe some are getting very hungry.
I think so. I think everyone's left to go to eat the dim sum. At least it's still early for you guys. Here on the East Coast, it's already 9:30, no, 10:30. So have to wait till tomorrow.
All right, so
How about
I'm
the
gonna-
purple rice, the purple rice pudding thing?
purple rice pudding thing.
Oh,
Oh,
the-
紫米露, 紫米露.
Mm.
Oh, 紫米, it literally means purple rice. And then lo is like the soup. So it's 紫米露, purple rice soup.
I like
Yeah, that's really good.
And my favorite is Sai Mai Lo.
Oh, 西米露, yeah.
Oh, samelo.
Yeah, 西米露 is the Saigo soup. 紫米露 is the purple rice soup, which is also sweet dishes at the end.
Mhm. And sometimes they put the wu tao inside the zimelo, and that's really good. Yeah,
Yes,
with the wu tao.
that as well.
The taro root, I think.
Yep.
In English, the taro. Mhm.
You're making me so hungry.
Okay, we're making
Oh,
everybody
that's
too
right. The bolo bao.
Yeah, the bolo bao.
Bolo chan bao. You know, do they have it
bao.
here? They do the bolo the bolo lai wong bao.
They
do
do.
that here?
奶黃包
Now bao, bolo bao. Yep, that's a lot of that as well. They do the bolo bao in here. Yes. And they
But they don't
sometimes
do
will
the
have
bolo lai wong. Do they do bolo
not
lai
that
wong
many
bao?
that I can see bolo lai wong though. Yeah.
Yeah, bolo lai wong bao. That one's really good.
Yeah. All right. So make sure you guys, if you want to learn a little bit more about the dim sum ordering and more things about Cantonese, visit Sue's Cantonese Corner on her YouTube channel, and also check out her CantoLingo.com. And her Instagram is at Cantonese Corner. And at the library, we have all these wonderful things that we put on our webpage where you can browse and then find more resources on learning Cantonese. Again, we have our Asian branch Instagram page where you can follow and then find out more about our library program as well. So that's that for tonight. And thank you very much. And for those who would like to stay a little bit longer, I have a special song for you.